Hi, my name's Timothy Gordon. I'm a social worker in Canada and a peer-reviewed ACT trainer. I am so excited to share my favorite clinical tip with you. In this video, I'm going to give you a brief introduction to ACT, but also give you a tool. It's called the Life Map. It's a diagram that you can use in session with your clients. It's from our book, The ACT Approach, which I'm really proud of. It won the 2018 Benjamin Franklin Gold Seal for Psychology. We also have an ACT deck, which is 55 brief ACT practices to help you integrate ACT into your work. So let me show you this tool that we call the Life Map. My workshop participants, as well as my clients, love it. I use it every single day, and you get to use the whole ACT model right in this one diagram. You can use a whiteboard like I have here in my office, or you may just wish to use maybe a piece of paper with a clipboard, whatever works for you. Have fun with this diagram and adapt it, play with it, make it your own. The art portion is very simple. It's a horizontal line with an arrowhead on either side, like so. And the arrowheads on either side represent two different directions that we move in our lives. One side is about chasing what's most important to us. And the other side is about escaping the things that we don't want to feel. So here's how I start the Life Map with every single one of my clients, and they find it so helpful. I begin with a very simple question: who and what is most important to you? What do you want your life to be about? And that's what we write down here in the bottom right quadrant. These are the light at the end of the tunnel for people. This is what they're actually working towards, those long-term reinforcers that matter to them in their lives. It's what dignifies doing this really hard acceptance-based work. We're looking for their values. And what I mean by the light at the end of the tunnel is who and what matters most to you. Who in your life is important to you? What do you want to be about? If somebody's struggling with parenting issues, what type of a parent do you want to be about? What kind of qualities do you want to live in your life? These are people's values. Notice how these aren't goals, though. These are qualities, more abstract things that are important to people. Things that you don't just tick off of a list, like let's say, for example, doing a workshop or achieving a certain degree or losing 10 pounds. Instead, these are the principles, the qualities that guide your life in a more long-term way. So very simple. Who and what is most important to you. And I'll write these things down here. And feel free to be a bit creative and maybe use your own drawing like a light at the end of the tunnel. Again, I'm not an artist, just having a little bit of fun with my clients to give them a sense of what we're looking for here. This quality of what do you want to be about? Who's important to you in your life? What could dignify this difficult work? Next, we're going to move on to what shows up that gets in the way of you chasing the life that's important to you. What makes this hard? What are the difficult thoughts, feelings, sensations, or memories that you struggle with? And my favorite way to depict this? With a yucky feelings monster. You have to admit, our yucky feelings monster is looking pretty menacing. And the yucky feelings monster simply represents the things that show up inside of us that are difficult for us. Now, there may be situations that elicit difficult things, like, for example, having a frustrating conversation with a parent or having a frustrating conversation with an in-law. But we don't focus on writing the person's name down here. I want to know what makes it difficult for you, for my client. And they might say things like, well, frustration or memories about a time when they really screwed me. Whatever shows up for a client as far as thoughts, feelings, sensations, and memories, things that are difficult inside of them, that's what we write down here in the bottom left quadrant. What makes it hard to chase your values? Next, what do you do when your yucky feelings monster shows up? What do you do when this difficult stuff inside of you shows up? So if I could see you when you're angry, what would I actually see you do to try and escape it, to try and get rid of it in your life? So to depict this, I'm just going to draw somebody running away from a disaster. Maybe they have a little bit of a horrified look on their face, and I'll draw my disaster over here. What we're looking for here by escaping painful experiences is what does a client actually do to try and escape, avoid, or control for the things that they don't want to feel. And keep in mind that not all of the answers need to be inherently pathological. In my practice, I hear things like, I drink, or I hook up, or I just play a lot of video games, or watch a lot of Netflix. But I'll also hear things like, I come to therapy, or I go to a yoga class, I meditate, I try to eat healthy. All we're looking for isn't strictly pathological examples, because remember, running away from a disaster can actually be a really healthy thing. All we're looking for is that our clients are able to track what behaviors they engage in the presence of the difficult stuff that shows up for them in their lives. Next, let's move on to what would it actually look like if you were chasing your values? What are the specific behaviors that I would see you do? And this is where we can start to get into more goal-oriented behavior, goals that help our clients chase the life that they want to live. What I'm going to draw here is simply a client who is chasing the type of life they want to have. What would that look like? Who would you be connected with? What would you be doing specifically with them? And all this represents, this idea of chasing the life that we want to have, is what does that look like when you chase your values? What would I see you do? So for one client, I might hear them say, get up early and exercise. But for another client, I might hear them say something like, to stay in bed and take care of myself. It can be as varied as our clients, and we don't need to prescribe a judgment as to what good behavior is or bad behavior. Instead, what we're looking for is behavior that's in line with their values. And keep in mind that that could look different for each and every one of us. So for me, in my practice, I'm a little bit of a workaholic. So if I was to actually spend my time trying to escape difficult stuff that I didn't want to feel, you would see me spend more time writing, taking on additional projects, working more hours. And if I was actually chasing my values and slowing down and maybe connecting a little bit more with the type of person that I want to be, you'd see me take more time to be with my family and connect with them a little bit more deeply, rather than doing the business of being a family member. Remember, it's all about what works for the client. That's why I love this perspective. ACT is inherently respectful to the individual. It looks at them in their environment to better understand what is it that's important to them? What types of values do they want to be living? What makes that difficult? What do they do when that painful stuff shows up? And we can even start to ask ourselves, is that problematic? What do they want to be doing in the presence of this? And what behaviors could be moving them toward the type of life that's important to them? What can help them chase their values? Now, before we wrap up the life map diagram, there is the crowning achievement of this diagram that I really love to do. I end this not by telling my clients, do more stuff over here that helps you chase your values, do less stuff here that's about escaping painful situations. All I ask them to do is a practical applied mindfulness exercise. I tell them, when you go to a mall and you have that big kiosk, you look at the map and it shows all the different stores, there's usually a little red dot or a little gold star. And what does it say? They answer, you are here. You are here. I point to the center of the life map saying, that's right, you are here. You go at the center of this perspective, because it's not about simply chasing your values and not escaping pain. You need to escape pain sometimes. That's healthy. Just like sometimes chasing our values helps us to actually connect with the life that's meaningful. You are here means I want you to be aware of what your behavior is about. What does it feel like to chase your values? And the answers I get from clients could be things as simple as, well, it feels great, it feels freeing, it feels scary even. There's no wrong answers. It's about having them pay attention to it. I then follow up by asking, what does it feel like to escape your pain? And sometimes I'll hear things like, it feels good in the moment, like scratching a mosquito bite or popping a pimple. There's a sense of relief, but in the long term, it's not actually good for me. I might hear other things like, it's awful and embarrassing, especially when I talk to clients about cycles of, let's say, trying to escape trauma histories through self-medicating, substance abuse, self-harm, and even fantasizing about suicide. They can start to identify how escape behaviors result in more of this painful stuff and more escape behaviors. Remember, it's about us helping them to notice what their experience is about, which is how we define mindfulness in this new wave of cognitive behavioral therapies. Let me show you how the science works and informs what we do in our clinical practices. When we help clients to identify their painful thoughts, feelings, sensations, and memories, and we help them to identify what they do to track their behavior, to escape that, to try and avoid it, or to control for the pain that they don't want to feel, we're helping them to be open to their experience. We're not telling them that their experience needs to go away or change in any way. What I mean by open is that this is helping people to be accepting of their pain, recognizing that trying to escape or get better at fighting your pain might not actually be working for you. And remember, in situations where it is working, that might be perfectly healthy and workable for you. But what I'm interested in is helping people recognize times where escaping their pain doesn't actually work for them and helping them to be open to what hurts. From this position of being open to what hurts, we practice some awareness. What we mean by aware is to have our clients pay attention to how their experience is impacting them. So maybe we practice some formal mindfulness exercises like meditation or yoga in the therapy room, but we also certainly recommend that they pay attention outside of the therapy room in their everyday living, when they're walking their dog, when they're making dinner, when they're engaging with their kids, or when they're in a difficult situation. Awareness skills, mindfulness, is something that we generalize to every situation in one's life. That's where the awareness piece comes in. And when we talk about chasing one's values, what we mean is to have somebody be engaged with the life that's most important to them. And to be engaged with your values means to not only on purpose author your values, what is the light at the end of your tunnel? What matters to you? What's most meaningful to you? But then to also identify specific behaviors that help our clients connect with their values so that they're actually living a rich and meaningful life. Arguably, this is the whole third wave of cognitive behavioral therapies. Being open, accepting of our pain, being aware, being mindful of how our experience impacts us, and being engaged with the life that matters most to us. This is what's at the heart of acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT. It's what's at the heart of DBT, dialectical behavior therapy. It's at the heart of compassion-focused therapy, functional analytics, psychotherapy, even other mindfulness-based therapies. The idea behind open, aware, and engaged is to help our clients not fight their pain, but to learn how to be with it so that they can live bigger, richer, more meaningful lives. Thank you so much for watching. I'm really honored by your attention. Don't forget to check out our book, The ACT Approach. It's a comprehensive guide to acceptance and commitment therapy. Also check out the ACT deck. It's 55 brief practices. Both of those are with my co-author, Jessica Borshak. And I'm really honored that we won the 2018 Benjamin Franklin Award for Psychology for the ACT Approach. Thanks again for your time, and I really hope you found this useful.